The deadline has now passed for Alberta schools to comply with new library standards, and some school boards have found books to take off the shelves. But the public school boards in Calgary and Edmonton are not saying which ones. Last year, the province ordered reading materials in school libraries must be, quote, developmentally appropriate. Any visual representation of a sexual act would need to be pulled.
We are not trying to remove classics of literature. What we are trying to remove is graphic images that young children should not be having a look at.
The Calgary Board of Education says a learning resources team reviewed about 2,100 titles, mostly graphic novels and manga. It flagged 44 titles to remove, out of about 700,000. Edmonton's public school board says it came up with a list of 34 titles to remove. School districts were required to submit the titles to Alberta Education. When CBC News asked several districts for those lists, none provided them, and they're not required to provide them to parents.
I would be curious to know what books have been removed, but also my judgment of what I allow my kids to read is different than my neighbor's kids.
Parisian helps lead a nonprofit that promotes the interests of parents to government. She says she trusts educators and school districts to make the right decisions, but questions whether this provincial order was a good use of their time.
I think until we have a blanket list of literature or resources coming from the ministry that says X book or X resource is on this list for this reason, it's really hard to appreciate the why behind the implementation of this policy.
The province says it's reviewed each district's list of removed materials, but not the actual books themselves. In a statement, the Education Minister's press secretary said protecting children from graphic sexual content is non-negotiable, and our policy is clear and unwavering. Such explicit content will not be accessible to children in Alberta schools. At least 3 school boards we spoke to say they didn't identify any materials to be removed, including the Calgary Catholic School District. Jo Horwood, CBC News, Calgary.